Hi, Molly.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Do you want to drop your link in here in the chat so people can see and how to get in touch with you and all that?
Sure, like my website and
Yeah, wherever you'd like people to go.
sure, I will get
Ooh. Okay, Brittany has as she's starting us off, she says having her baby shower in about a month, so definitely curious. Okay. So, I'm going to just say welcome to this session, and we can't wait to hear from Molly from Bump Bestie. And she's going to drop links. There it is, bumpbestie.com. And I'm going to let you get started, and then I'll jump in later when we have Q&A time.
perfect. I'm just going to drop in my Instagram too.
Yes.
Feel free to follow. I usually post various tips, inspiration, all kinds of things. And it's definitely the easiest way to get in touch with me directly. But as everyone knows, my name is Molly. I'm a mom, first and foremost, to a 4.5-year-old son. And I started Bump Bestie really out of my own need. I had my son in January of 2017. I'd been tinkering with the idea in my own baby prep journey, mostly because I felt like there was no single source of truth when I was doing my registry. And I was busy, I was working, I was living in a loft, and I just couldn't find one place to go or a single person to really give any guidance based on my particular circumstances. You know, my lifestyle is very different. Everyone's unique in their own kind of day to day. You know, my budget, my values, what I was looking for. So it was kind of this aha moment where I was like, gosh, like maybe there's an opportunity here to help other families transitioning into parenthood, especially now with just the overwhelming amount of information and an industry that is constantly changing. And, you know, I even work occasionally with families having a second child, because if there's enough of a gap between the first and the second, everything's changed on the market or they've gotten rid of everything. So anyway, I started my company really to help parents kind of prepare for pregnancy, postpartum, and really return to work. So in pregnancy, I focus mostly on the registry, curation, and in postpartum, really helping families think through the type of support that they may need in the postpartum period. Again, no one told me all of the things that I would be up against or dealing with physically, emotionally, mentally. And had I known, in hindsight, I would have done a lot of things differently. So it's a really great opportunity to, you know, support families so that they're just not in this like crazy period in this fourth trimester where you're just like, what just happened to me? Because not only are you having a baby, but you're also giving birth to yourself as a mother. And that's a whole journey in itself. So I could go on and on about that, but we are here for Registry 101. So I thought I'd go through my tips. I have about 10 tips. I'll kind of chime in on each of those, and then I'll answer all the questions at the end, if that works for everyone. So feel free to drop them in the chat whenever a question comes to mind, and just know that I'll get to it, and I'll probably go through this for the next like 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll get started with questions. So my first tip is really to start early. You know, most people these days find out their gender, if they are finding that out, between 12 and 16 weeks. Also, 12 weeks is that safe period where you're able to announce your pregnancy. And so it's a good time to start kind of looking around and thinking about what platform you want to use for your baby registry. Luckily, most of the platforms out there today have a universal registry capability, which means you can add things from anywhere into one list. But I would start anywhere between 12 and 16 weeks. I think people don't realize you end up adding anywhere between 80 to 200 items. So that's a lot of research if you're doing it on your own. And you want to try and have everything, your house set up and all of the things that you've registered for and all of the things that maybe you didn't receive bought by around 36 weeks, even earlier for twins. I think it's something like 32 weeks. And then you also need to factor in if you are having a baby shower, when those invitations need to go out. So you can kind of back into the date that you need to have your registry ready. And I usually recommend getting your invitations out 4 to 6 weeks before your baby shower, just so people have time to go through it. So that's registry tip number 1. The second is pick a place or two to register, especially if you are having your shower and most of your guests are local. Obviously, you want to make sure that you are being safe in the time of COVID, but with a lot of stores open, people love shopping for babies. So this is a really great opportunity to not only support local business, which I think is important, especially with our crazy use of Amazon and all of these different online shopping platforms. Businesses have suffered through COVID and just suffer in general. So supporting local business, I love the opportunity to do that. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of text messages. So that is my tip number 2, is pick a place or two to register. And even if you register on Amazon, you can always as well register on like Nordstrom, or if there's another boutique that you're really interested in or you really like the style of their merchandise and offerings. Tip number 3 is tackle your big items first. And this was especially important during COVID with all of the shipping delays. And I know that there are still some shipping delays, but if you have your heart set on bigger nursery items, furniture items, things like that, things that maybe require some custom fabric or paint or whatever it is, or if you're working with an interior designer, all of that stuff is going to take a lot more time. So definitely tackle your big items first, such as furniture, just from a shipping perspective. But also figuring out your stroller and your car seat early on as well. I always suggest going into a store and test driving and really figuring out what works for you and what works for your partner if you have a partner, because you're dealing with different heights and just different day-to-day use. Someone who lives in a city who doesn't have a car and is using public transportation, their needs are going to be very different from someone who lives in a suburb, has an SUV, and can easily get around. So definitely start thinking through those types of items first. The 4th tip I have is create a private category. So I use Babylist a lot for, and this is not a plug for Babylist, but I do use Babylist a lot for clients when building their registries. And I love that. And I think all of the registries do this, but I love the option to create private categories within your list. So you're not bouncing around between your registry and like your 7 different Excel sheets. I think it gets just crazy. So it's just one place to go with all of your stuff, and things that could go in a private category, depending on your comfort, include like maybe some of your breastfeeding products that, you don't need someone buying your breast pump soap or your pads that you put in your bra, or even some of the things that I include for moms down there, for recovery down there, which is a whole other category to itself. But it allows you to like put everything all in one place, which I really, really love, because you can always go back after your shower and reference what you have there and purchase as needed. Let's see. So tip number 5 is register for gender neutral items, which I think is pretty obvious, but I know a lot of families who are having little girls, they just kind of, their registries are just like a pink explosion. And they're not really thinking about in the future, if they do plan on having another kid, the opportunity to be able to pass things down, big cost savings there. So thinking about just having products and design aesthetics that are gender neutral and go with the home. A lot of clients also prefer baby gear that is a little more muted in terms of like color and tone, so that, you know, you find yourself staring at this stuff for long periods of time. And it's really nice that we're seeing a lot of products that are more easily integrated into the home versus like a lot of primary colors. So gender neutral is definitely a suggestion. And then number 6 is one of my favorites. I feel like I came up with this a long time ago. But that one person's don't bother is another person's must have. Everyone is so different, and you really just need to listen to your gut and your instinct when it comes to certain products. And the one that people always love to kind of poke fun at is the wipe warmer. And sure, the wipe warmer can be problematic. For example, if your baby gets so used to warm wipes that when you're out and about and you don't have a warm wipe, they will not like that. So you kind of create this little monster with your wipe warmer. But at the same time, if you like your wipe warmer, get your wipe warmer. You know, don't let anyone tell you to not get something, because I can't tell you. I mean, it's wildly different what everyone swears by. So there's a lot of things that people will swear by that you get that you'll be like, this didn't really work for us. And so don't kind of feed into the idea that everyone has to have the same thing. I feel like there's very much this you're just following, the advice of so many different people, and you're just buying everything that they have. And it just doesn't always end up the way that you think it will. So be open-minded. And if you feel like you really are dead set on something and you love something, get it. Make yourself happy. Tip number 7 is don't forget about mom and dad. Another category you can create are things for mom and dad. This is things like recovery products, meals, books, services. Whenever I work with clients, I create this category for them, and I include a lot of books and things for them to purchase for the parents for after the fact. Not only books on the first couple years of your baby's existence, which are good reference guides as your baby is developing, but books for yourself. There's books on the 4th trimester. There's books on the 5th trimester, which is considered your return to work period. There are books on childhood development, psychology books there's just so many great things out there that I always throw a couple things like that for reference, but also services like a massage or whatever it is, a meal or a card to Postmates or Uber Eats. I can't stress enough just the importance of nutrition in those early months after having a baby. So definitely it's okay to think about yourself, be a little selfish. People will want to help, whether that's specific things that you put on there or gift cards of some sort. Tip number 8 is include a variety of price points. So I usually, you want to be respectful of everyone's budget, but I also don't usually recommend, and this is where it comes in handy of having this private list, is putting things on there that are like $2, $3. The Q-tips that you need for your baby probably don't need to go on your registry. So I usually stick between $15 and more. Also, if there's things that you're getting or big ticket items, feel free to put them on there. because a lot of times people will kind of group together. If you have like a group of friends, they can all go in on the stroller. Or if you know your parents are getting that for you, you don't even have to put it on your registry. And I also don't usually put nursery furniture on the registry. I'll put like mattress and sheets like that, but not usually big, huge furniture items. Occasionally the glider or the chair, but it's just wildly different, and different people have, different sensitivities to what they put on there in terms of pricing. But, all of the little like tchotchkes, you don't need to put, like I said, the Q-tips or gosh, what else? I'm blanking, but I think you get the point. That's what the private category is for. Number 9 is get someone's input. Get someone with a fresh set of eyes who's, you can work with someone like me, or a friend. I think just having someone go over it. And I find that when I do work with clients, or when I've talked to friends, or, people that I've met, they're so over building their registry by the end of it that they're just like, I don't even care. You go into your registry like, yay, I'm so excited and this is so great. And then like shortly after, you're like, oh my God, like this is insane. I don't have the time. I don't even care. I'm just going to like have this like half done registry and just hope for the best. Which is not a great strategy, but I totally understand the like overwhelm with all of that. But yeah, get some input. And I'll mention a couple extra resources I have after these tips, which you might find helpful. But the last tip number 10, is don't register for a breast pump. A lot of people don't realize that breast pumps are covered by insurance. The only time you'd ever want to consider registering for a breast pump is if you want to go the wireless route. So the Willow or the LV. If you have a particular need to be and have wireless access just based on your work, then sure, I would consider putting that on there because they are expensive. But otherwise, I kind of like more of a wait and see approach. Not everyone, unfortunately, is successful in pumping and breastfeeding. So you don't want to like have a $500 product when you're not even going to use it. But also there's kind of a learning curve to using a pump. And you're going to be home for that beginning period. So, it takes some time to get used to that and getting your body kind of adjusted to that whole system in itself. So make sure that you reach out to your insurance company in advance. And then they'll usually provide you with a link to like a medical supply company for you to choose a pump from. So those are my tips. I ran through them pretty quickly. I'm sure there are some questions. I did want to point out though that I do sell a number of guides on my site that are really easy to use. One of them is my registry checklist. So this is a really great option if you're building your own registry to reference that you have all of the things that you need within each category. And it's kind of organized so you see what you need, like what are considered must-haves versus nice to have. So if you're more of like a minimalist mindset or you just don't have as much room, you definitely can pare it down and get things kind of on a rolling basis as you need them versus having everything right away. So this checklist is really great as you're building it, but also as a reference after your shower or after you've gotten your products for you to go back in and check off what you have and then seeing what you're missing, which is always the biggest category when I work with clients who've already built their registries, is there's so many things missing that you don't even realize you need or you haven't even thought about. I also have a down there care checklist. Again, depending on how you end up birthing your baby, there is going to be some recovery. So I have all of my favorite products and recommendations for that period of time. As well as a free hospital bag checklist, which has evolved over time and we need more things. And then I'm working on a non-toxic nursery checklist. So I'm really passionate about creating a non-toxic space for your baby. I don't think, pregnancy is a really great time to reflect on your home environment, indoor air, and I don't think people realize the potential for toxins that we introduce into the home with our furniture choices. So that is coming soon. And then I'm also going to be partnering with Newbie Box for all the newbie boxers, and giving a little bit of a discount for my registry checklist and my down there checklist bundled together. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you're on their newsletter email list, and we'll get that out hopefully in the next week or two. So just wanted to chime in on those extra resources combined with my registry tips, and then let's get into some questions.
So I want to jump in and just remind everyone, just a little housekeeping. So we're going to do some questions now. Give Molly a chance to, hydrate and be ready to answer more questions. That was awesome. What a great top 10 list. That was great. And then at 12:30, don't forget Deanie Klein from Prep and Rally. So that's another session, and we will be hopping over there at 12:30. So I do want to just throw in, so the Willow breast pump, which is a wearable pump, you can get it either partially paid for by insurance or covered fully insured. So just to let people know that that's an option. It's out there. It depends on your insurance, of course.
That's right.
Right. So
I think it's a newer option that they're now partially, like you said, or even fully covered. Right. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah.
So we had a question in the Q&A from Griselda saying, any tips on what are basic necessities? Like what is gotta have it. Everybody's gotta have it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to rattle off all of that currently, but that's why, for example, I encourage getting the checklist, not really for me to just push my stuff, but what I really love about that is that I place an asterisk within each category of the must-haves within each category. So if you could only choose, or you're on a really, a budget, and you just need what the must-haves for the first few months, right. This is a really great kind of visual way to see all of the things that you need. I mean, obviously you need clothes, you need a place for the baby to sleep. For example, the bassinet versus the crib, you don't really need the crib right away. A lot of people have it set up, or, a lot of people get everything up front because, time goes by pretty quickly in those early days. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it is time to transition my baby to the crib, or it is time to transition to start foods. And we need a high chair. So, there's pros and cons. It's you have everything ready to go, but then, you may not have enough storage space, or things are hanging out. But also you do have the option to get things later on. So a bassinet is necessary, not necessarily a crib. Or there's, you can just start with the crib, and skip the bassinet. So there's different ways to slice and dice it. But if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I can point you in the right direction.
Gotcha. Yeah. So your email is there on your website, I assume, or if you want to.
Yeah. And I'll type it in. It's molly@bumpbestie.com.
Got it. And yeah, so for me, it's funny what you will find what's the must have and the absolute necessities for yourself. I mean, I thought, oh, I'll just sit in this rocking chair when I'm nursing. And it was so uncomfortable that I did not care how much they wanted to charge me for a glider. I went out and bought one the first week with my baby home, because I was like, I am dying here. This is so uncomfortable, and I'm going to be here for hours.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out about the glider that people also don't realize is, if you do have a partner who's bigger and taller, and because you're going to be spending so much time in that chair, you do want a chair that's going to give you the head support. There's a lot of really cute, chic chairs that, just kind of come up to your shoulder, but then there's nowhere to put your head. Yeah. And then on top of that, I also, they have reclinable ones now, which is like really nice.
Mm.
But chairs with a wing so that you have somewhere to put your head when you are kind of bobbing around, because you will be sleeping in that chair. I realize the wing style is not really for everyone. The chair is not meant to be like the most like fashionable, like statement in your home. It's function. And you want yourself and your husband or your partner to also be comfortable in that chair. So
yes, no, I mean, that was the thing. Like, I looked at one in the store and I thought, I don't want that in my house.
I know.
I could not get back to the store fast enough as soon as I got home with the baby, because it wasn't about looks anymore. It was about comfort. And so
that just reminds me though as well, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace are also great options. There's so much stuff in this world, so any opportunity to buy used or to upcycle is definitely recommended. Also, if there's products, like if some people feel like they need the bouncer and the swing and the chair and all of the things, you can start with one. And then if you feel like, oh, that's not, my baby doesn't really love that, or my baby's not sleeping very well, I think it's time for a swing, check those sites first, so you can get a better deal and you can try products without like fully investing in something new if you're not sure that it's going to work for you.
Or if it's still in the box and it's been a recent amount of time, you can always take it back. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things, yes, you can take the fabric part off and wash it. And then the plastic part underneath, or whatever, the wooden part, can be cleaned. So yes, so using someone, a gently used version of something in a lot of cases is very, very good option.
I do always recommend, when you do that, for example, is checking for any recall or safety notices. The Fisher Price, like Rock and Play or whatever, was a big one that people were using, and now that's been completely recalled. So I've seen people selling that. So you do always want to check that. And then you don't usually want to buy any used car seats, for example. Car seats actually have an expiration date of between like 5 and 6 years, because most of them have like plastic, and the integrity of the plastic breaks down over time. And if you don't know the history of the car seat, if it's ever been an accident, it's not suggested that you use it. Even if you've been in like a little like fender bender personally, it is usually recommended that you get a new car seat.
Got it. Okay. So I want to go to the questions in the chat. We have one from Brittany.
Yes.
I did find a Prop 65 warning on my fridge. It completely freaked me out. And then you were talking about, like a non-toxic living environment. So yeah, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I've seen that warning label too. I feel like we all have, in buildings, and you're just kind of like, what does that mean? I think it's just standard language. I wouldn't be overly concerned. I think, you can only control your immediate environment. So that's where I would focus your attention. If that means getting an air purifier, that's a big one. I know in California, we deal with fire seasons like year round, it feels like at this point. I don't think anywhere we live in the US is like safe from bad air quality at this point, unfortunately. So investing in something like that. Also looking at the foams that are in your furniture, whether that's the glider, the mattress, also the wood. We'll see terms like engineered wood or MDF wood or particle wood or engine, all of that weird terminology. That usually means it's not solid wood. So you're dealing with wood that's been glued and shaped, and there's, chemicals that go into the construction of that. So looking for hardwood, solid woods, things like that. Obviously, you want your cleaners to be free of chemicals, and anything that your baby's going to have extended exposure to. So your nursing pillow, your own clothing, laundry detergent. You want those things to be as clean as possible.
Right. Yeah, and again, so for me, a nursing pillow was a necessity because I did start out nursing. But if you're not, let's say you're just going to use a bottle, I mean, it's not a necessity for you. So it's like, we can say these were my necessities, but they may not be for everybody.
Right. I still think a nursing pillow, even if you're bottle feeding, comes in handy, and you'll find your partner using it as well, because your arms get tired. They just get tired holding, and you're in these stress positions for so long that's nice to have something to like rest your elbows on.
Yeah, my baby was 10.5 pounds. So
yeah.
my arms were tired immediately.
Yes.
So, okay. And then Kara has a question. Tips on how to make choices. For example, I found a baby monitor I thought was good. Then her aunt wants to buy it, but now it's out of stock. So back to square one and choosing things. So I don't know if you have that on your checklist or anything like that.
I don't. And for a while, and I still would consider it if it was of interest, but I used to host these like Ask Me Anything sessions where, people find themselves like, is it the Dogatot or the Snuggle Me? And I just can't decide. At some point you just have to pull the trigger, and you just have to like hope that you've made the right decision and move on, because you can lose sleep over these choices. Like, as it just kind of drives you crazy. So I would just, find a couple other options or ask a friend. Off the top of my head, a lot of people really love the Nanit. I also would look for like a low, like radiation baby monitor. That's another kind of non-toxic area that I coach parents through, because a lot of them, you don't realize the reason why you can see your baby like through a wall, up the stairs, down the hall, like, is because it's emitting waves and potential like low levels of radiation. So definitely that's an area that I suggest parents look into the product specifically and how it's created and what that situation is. But there's a lot more choices out there. So again, if you want to connect with me, I'm happy to walk you through a couple options. But there is really no easy solution. That's the problem with.
Right. Well, but like you said, so then maybe it's, you get one and you hold on to it, maybe don't open the box. And if you, or try it and then it doesn't work for you, you can get another one, right? Like,
right. Or you just like pick two and like close your eyes and just like,
right, and return one or something, right? There's that option. But yes, it is overwhelming. That's a great point to just like, at some point we just have to make a decision. I want to point out, because it's 12:30, that the Prep and Rally with Deanie Klein is going to be starting. I don't know, Molly, if you're able to stay a little longer.
I think we have one more question from Brittany. I'm happy to answer that. And then I do have to run after that. But again, I am accessible, happy to help. So please reach out to me through whatever channel is most convenient, and we can go from there.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you for everyone for coming. I'm going to pop off, but Molly's going to answer this question.
I'm going to answer this last question from Brittany. Thanks, Sarah. So what do I think of a crib with wheels to move around? So it depends, are you moving it around from bedroom to living room? A lot of the times I'll see mini cribs with wheels. Mini cribs, babies tend to grow out of those pretty quickly. So if you do want something that's a little more portable, you can do like a pack and play situation, which could be handy. You can pop it up in the living room or pop it up and use it as your bassinet. A lot of those pack and plays have a bassinet like mode that you can use. So you don't even have to get a bassinet. Or people will get a bassinet and then like maybe get a Moses basket to be able to move the baby around. So, wheels are not, it doesn't really matter if it has wheels. It's just think about the mobility. I think you might drive yourself crazy trying to wheel something in and out of a room every day, and having like a Moses basket or just a different like situation to place the baby down would probably be more convenient. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, I am available. If anyone has questions after this, please feel free to follow me. I'd love the support, and best of luck to everyone on their respective baby journeys. Bye, everyone.